Hello, my name is John Rose, and in this video I'd like to take a closer look at the Matrix, Plato's Cave, the 5 percenters, and our ship. And the easiest way I know to explain these 4 separate allegories is to use my special teaching tool, where I identified 281 of the most important pieces out of the millions of pieces that are within this special teaching tool. And you can click that or go down to the description box and you can see the ultimate schematic playlist and the ultimate solution playlist that explains most of those pieces. But what I want to do initially in this video is go over the first 3 pieces that I've identified and show you where those are in all 4 of these allegories. Now, the first 3 pieces to this special teaching tool, out of the 281 pieces, belong to 21 main problems of knowledge. And I got that because I got really philosophical when I found this really valuable knowledge a long time ago, and I started studying what philosophers said. And Socrates said that the problem of knowledge is the key to all of our problems, and I got real excited because I knew exactly what he meant. I knew it was ignorance, but I also knew there were reasons why we were ignorant, and I'd already been working on it by the time I found what Socrates said. So altogether I've come up with 21 main problems of knowledge, and the first 3 problems of knowledge are the ones that we're going to talk about and how it relates to these 4 allegories. So piece number 1 is the most important piece of the puzzle, and it's designated as in a circle with a dotted line inside the +A box of knowledge, and you'll see that when you go to the ultimate schematic. And I'll be doing a uploading video soon that shows an improved diagram of my schematic, where you can see one will have a dotted line around it, will be more obvious. But that's the knowledge we're missing. This is the reason why we have so many problems. And it's obvious that we don't have this knowledge, otherwise we wouldn't have so many problems. So that's piece number 1. It's the number 1 problem of knowledge. It's the knowledge we don't have. It's the knowledge we're missing. I like to call it lost knowledge or hidden knowledge, because our ancestors hid it in our traditions when they fell in love with it a long time ago. That's why it's hidden knowledge. So that's piece number 1. And then the number 1 reason why we can't find that knowledge is piece number 2, and that's false knowledge. And the problem with false knowledge is we have it in place of the knowledge we need, and we cannot learn anything when we think we already know. So number 1 reason why we can't find the knowledge we're missing is because we have false knowledge in its place. Pieces 1 and pieces number 2, and that's in my special teaching tool in the first stage of knowledge. My special teaching tool is constructed with 3 stages of knowledge. And this is what most people don't understand or know, because whenever we discuss something profound, very few people know how to identify all 3 pieces on the right path and on the wrong path. So many times 2 people are on the same path. One has 2 of the 3 pieces, one has 1 of the 3 pieces, and they're both right but both wrong because they don't recognize each other's pieces. So that's the purpose of my tools, to identify where all the pieces are. Now we're in the very first stage of knowledge, where knowledge is acquired. These are our thoughts. These are our beliefs. This is our belief system. These are the things we think. And that's made up, our belief system is made up of what's in the +A box of knowledge and what's in the -A box of false knowledge. And that's where piece number 2 is. So we have the right path on top and the wrong path on the bottom. We have knowledge, good applications, we satisfy our needs, and then we end up in paradise, where we have a place where we don't have any problems. Unlimited potential. But then if we have false knowledge in the first stage and we make mistakes, we end up with problems. And that's in the dark ages. So this 6-box system is really easy to understand. We're talking about pieces 1 and pieces number 2. Now there's a doorway in between those 2 boxes, and that's where we have 19 main obstacles, or 37 altogether. So I identified 21 main problems of knowledge, but there's actually a total of 55 problems of knowledge altogether. And 53 of those are in 2 portals we have to go through, or 2 doorways. 37 in the first, 13 in the second. Because once we find the knowledge we're missing, then we have to apply and go through 1 more doorway into the second stage of knowledge, and that's where knowledge is applied. Those are our actions. That's the cause. Those are the things we do or have done to us. And so our lifestyle choices. So this is where cause enters into the picture. It's in the second stage of knowledge. So the problem we have is we start our journey off in life with piece number 2. We make mistakes, and that causes problems. And we don't know that, so we viciously repeat this horrible negative horizontal loop. And what we have to do is make a transformative move, go through that first doorway, and find the knowledge we need. That's piece number 1. And the problem is there are 19 obstacles inside that doorway, or 37 altogether. The number one obstacle would be the number one source for false knowledge, because there are 12 sources of false knowledge and 7 wilderness factors. Those are 19 obstacles or 19 reasons why we don't know with these 2 forms of ignorance. And the number one source for false knowledge is piece number 3. And that's the dark side of our behavior, or in our case, or especially in our case, we have the darkest of the dark side of our behavior, or the worst of us, or the sickest of us, who are then taking advantage of the fact that we are sick and they control us. So these are pieces 1, 2, and 3. Now let's take a look at how they are in the matrix, and Plato's cave, and the 5 percenters, and in our ship. And now when we first go to the matrix, what we have is piece number 1. That is getting outside of the matrix. Piece number 2 is the matrix. That's the false knowledge. There's the analogy there. And what we have to do to get out of the matrix is take the red pill. Well, we got to go through that doorway, and the easiest way to deal with all 37 obstacles is to test an idea as time has come that's up there, and that's the first of my 3-step process. You see? So that's the red pill. If you want to get out of the matrix, you want to take the red pill, do the first of my 3-step process. Look down below in the description box. You can get out of the matrix. What we're missing is the knowledge that we don't have, and the problem is we can't understand it because we have too many references that support what we believe and what we do and what we get. So we need a brand new reference. That's why we got to do something on a temporary basis, the first of my 3-step process, so you can see what you're missing. That's the red pill. How do you get out of the matrix? It's simple. You got to take the red pill. Now, what else do we have in the matrix? We have piece number 3. Well, here we have the intellectually superior machines, and then we have the super powerful computer programs. All these Agent Smiths. That's piece number 3. And now that's what we have in the very first of these 4 allegories. So pieces 1, 2, and 3 are reflected in what many people believe is almost what's the word I'm looking for? I can't find the word, but you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so that's the first one. The second one is where we have Plato's cave, and believe it or not, that's where these brothers got their idea from. Is the Plato's cave. So when we look at Plato's cave, piece number 1 is getting out of the cave. And remember, once we get out of the cave, we go back down into the cave, and what do we deal with? This is where we have piece number 2 and piece number 3. Piece number 2 is in the cave. We have a bunch of ignorant people that when you tell them to look back into the light, to become enlightened, they scream at you and say, why are you telling me to look into the light? It hurts my eyes. The truth hurts. Don't tell me I'm the enemy. I got to change what I love to do. But life is an illusion, my friend. That's the whole point of all of these allegories. Life is an illusion. We're in the matrix. We're in Plato's cave, a cave of ignorance. When someone comes out of the cave, this is like Morpheus got out of the cave, then he found Neo. Now what happened when Neo was in there? He was attacked by the police. The police are the Progerian class. Again, this ties into piece number 3. This is the dark side of our behavior. And what the dark side of our behavior does is it controls everything. It controls the government, the judicial systems, the police force, educational systems, the priesthood. They control every major sector of human endeavor, so they can control what we think, and they brainwash us in tradition they brainwash us and trick us into believing that this is the reality. And it's an illusion. It's all an illusion. So that's Plato's cave. Now we have the 5 percenters. Now this is a group of Muslims that tie back to the 2 Muhammads that came up with 122 questions and answers. And when one of the questions came up is, well, who are the 5%? Well, those are the righteous teachers. Those are the ones who know or understand the law of cause and effect. You see, according to them, 85% of us don't understand the law of cause and effect, and we don't get it. Well, so you can see the flaw in their thinking, because they pointed out we found the second stage and the third stage, but what they can't seem to point to, the piece that they're missing in their story to make it complete, is the first stage of knowledge. And that's the knowledge of how to live. Now, when you look at Islam, it's supposed to be not a religion, it's supposed to be a way of life. And when you look at what they say diet-wise, they're pretty much on track, but then they still allow the weak to do something they shouldn't do, and then they use that as an excuse to do it. So this is quite a dilemma we're in when people rely on books that know that if they tell the truth, there's too many people who are weak and they can't handle it. So their solution is, well, we won't put it in there. But we should still have it as a footnote or something, as something to aim at. So the 5 percenters, we've got piece number 1 is understanding the law of cause and effect. Then we have piece number 2, that's the false knowledge. That's the 85% of people who don't understand the law of cause and effect. And then for them, the 10%ers, those are the privileged, those are the ones that were part of the ruling class. And actually the ruling class was a smaller percentage of those. But nonetheless, they try to designate that 10% as piece number 3. Or at least that's where piece number 3 is hiding amongst that top 10%. Because not everybody's in the top 10% is necessarily part of the ruling elite who are using money as a tool to control us. So one of the things we have to do to get out of this mess is for us all to get reconnected, of course. But then we gotta deal with this damage control, and we'll get to that in a moment. But next I want to go to our ship. Now this is a really interesting allegory, and their allegory was that life is a ship, and we're headed to an iceberg, and most of the people are in the ship, and most of them are oblivious that they're even on a ship, and that the ship has a purpose or it has a direction, and let alone it's heading for an iceberg and for destruction. And then you have people on the outside of the ship that are watching everything. These are the philosophers, these are the trim tabs of society. They're the ones that are realizing, my God, there's a lot of people who don't know what's going on, and God, there are several people running the ship. These people don't know what they're doing. They're just cogs in the wheel, working for these people, doing their bidding, not knowing that what they're doing is steering the ship in the wrong direction. But then you got the ones that are outside the ship that actually think the ship belongs to them, and they're the ones that are controlling the rudders on the ship. So they're like the bad rudders on the ship. So in a way, the 5%ers are like the good rudders. And it's interesting because even in the Muslim religion, they're considered the extremists. Well, this is how the people who rule the world work. They know how we react, and they appeal to our emotions instead of our intellect. So what they do in this particular case is that how do I want to say this again? They label the good rudders extremists. And see, most people don't know who rule in the world, and they don't know about the bad rudders. So when everybody thinks of a rudder, they think of extremists. And again, it's all a distraction. It's just a way for us to have a knee-jerk reaction saying, oh, they're just extremists, don't listen to them. And yet they're the good rudder. And then you got the bad rudders, and you got the people who control the rudder. But the beauty about all of these stories that doesn't seem to get told well enough is that the real way to get this ship going the other direction is not to deal with the people who think the ship belongs to them and get to the people who know how to run the ship and to get the ship in the right direction, unless that is where what needs to be done, which would be to give the knowledge to the people in the ship so they can change. You see, there's only one way to keep the ship from hitting the iceberg, and that is for everybody in the ship to change. And I went over this before when I talked about everyone being in a bell, and we can't cut the edges of the bell off, we got to change the bell. Same thing with the ship. We got to change the condition of the ship. It's the condition of the ship, and the reason why the ship is in such bad shape is because we can think of the ship as our cells, and then our cells are floating in a sewage system. And it only makes sense that if our cells are floating in a sewage system, which by the way they are, that we keep that sewage system clean. And guess what happens when it's not clean? We've got lots of problems. And look around, my friends, look at you. Every time you have a cold or a flu, that means your cells are floating in a filthy sewage system. Your cells are floating in shit, literally. You see, our body's nothing but a bunch of cells and two fluids. One fluid brings in the cell, or brings in the food, and the other fluid is the sewage system the cells poop into. And then that's supposed to be taken out the body. But our body stops working efficiently because we're not living the right way. We damage organs that are supposed to keep the system clean. Now the system backs up, and think of it no different as a toilet in the bathroom in your house. If you have waste matter, it's got to go out somewhere. We go into the toilet, it's supposed to go somewhere. Well, it goes into the sewage system. Well, let's say the sewage system backs up. What happens when the sewage system backs up? Backs up back into the bathroom, and if it backs up enough, it goes into the other cells. Well, guess what's happening to us? We do the same thing. And this is the reason why disease is a mystery to our so-called experts. They're not experts, they're misdirected by piece number 3. This is, again, if you're going to tell an allegory to get us out of this cave, you got to understand really what the pieces are doing and the best way to deal with them. The best way to deal with these pieces is to realize they're a reflection of us. We got to change the ship. The bell's got to change. You play a role when it comes to getting our ship to keep from hitting this iceberg. So go down below, look at my Ultimate Solution playlist and my Ultimate Schematic playlist, but most importantly, do the first of my 3-step process. And before you do that, to get really pumped up, listen to the Dr. Roby interview. He was being interviewed by these 2 women when he was on day 21 of my program. I was coaching him, and this man, you got to listen to the enthusiasm in this man's voice and how many things happened to him and how he's influenced everyone around him, and it happened with them too. If that doesn't get you motivated, you got to realize we all play a role. If you want purpose in your life, this is it. This is how you become a hero. We all love heroes. Did you know you could be a hero? How? Me? It's simple. The definition of a hero: someone can solve a problem no one else can solve. Well, guess what? Most of your problems are self-inflicted. What does that make you? The hero, don't you see? That's why every culture on this planet talks about the hero's journey. It's the most common story that's been passed on generation to generation, because we're all in search to get back to that golden age where we didn't have so many problems. It's not complicated. We're not satisfying our needs. We're getting disconnected. If everybody inside the ship got reconnected, what would happen? We wouldn't be floating in shit. We'd be floating in a really clean sewage system that was extremely receptive to anything we had coming, and it was out and gone. That's how we're designed. We're filthy creatures. And I can prove it to you. Do the first of my 3-step process. When you do, within days or about a week or so, you'll have a light bulb moment. And that's because for most of y'all, nothing's going in solid, but something's coming out solid. And for me, it took me 3 months to stop seeing stuff come out of me. Have 20-pound cesspool in me. I've coached thousands of people. Very few don't have things coming out of them. And even if you don't, it's still such a positive experience in every way, because you're also going to be bumping up those biophotons, which I lovingly talk about, because this is the piece of the puzzle we're missing. If you want to label all of our biomarkers, the only one that matters should be our biophoton level. If I could rule the world with an iron fist, I'd have one law and one law only. Everyone had to have a minimal biophoton level. And we couldn't feed the next generation in a way that would create the hell we have now. We got to put it at the end now. That should be law number 1. As of a certain year, no child will ever let their biophoton levels go down where they're supposed to be, like every other living system on this planet strives to accomplish. Why can't we do that? Society attacks early when the individual is helpless. All of our problems begin in childhood. Every little child has already been taught the same mistakes that were taught to us and our parents and their parents for 3,000 generations. It's time to put an end to this cycle. And it's not going to happen unless we get enough of you guys out there to test an idea as time has come, so you can become the best that you can be. Why don't you want to do that? If you've already done it, you know what I'm talking about. And I know it's discouraging when you try to tell people, because you think you get a better batting average. And it's really disheartening when you're all excited and you go share this with somebody and you can tell they don't want to talk about changing what goes in here. Addictions, denial, powerful obstacles. And the easiest way to deal with all of them is the decision. The hardest part is the decision. So make the decision right now. Go down there, look at my link. It's about a 2-hour seminar. I explain how to do this. It's simple. You're going to love it. I've done it 1,200 days in the last 24 years, and I love it. It's the most exciting thing I've ever done. And it transforms everybody's lives I've ever done. So when you do it, you're in for a treat.